Hey guys, remember to hit like on the video, and if you want to support me, you can do so at patreon.com/ShaMoo411. Thanks. Hey guys, before the video gets started, I just wanted to say that during the conversation with Chud Logic, I had some technical difficulties for the first 15 minutes of our talk, so I edited those interruptions out, so if you see any jumps, that's why. Other than that, hit the thumbs up, and thanks for watching. Hey, what's up, Chud?
Hey, ShaMoo. How's it going?
It's going good, man.
Awesome, awesome. We'll get straight into it. Obviously, I'm sure you know I'm live, so obviously, I don't
Yeah,
know what your personal politics are, just no slurs, okay? That's the only thing, all right?
for sure.
Okay. So, for those of you that don't know who you are, do you want to just give a quick introduction?
I make documentary videos on YouTube. I did the one on the Thorps. I've covered stuff that Chud's covered before with like the Meh Noodles and Morbid, their whole flame war, and I just recently put out a FallenChungus video like a day ago.
Okay, saying it like that, FallenChungus, I mean, it sounds a bit ridiculous, doesn't it, really? Um,
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get into that, would it be fair to, would you consider yourself like an A-log channel, do you think?
Um, with the Thorps, I guess so, but with the stuff that I want to make, I want to document things that people do. Like in the Fallen Chungus video, I give my opinion at the end, but I'm really trying to catalog stuff, and I do the same thing in like the Men Noodles Sir Morbid X video. I catalog it and then try to give my opinion at the end. People say that my channel is an A-log channel, probably mostly because of the Thorps, but it's not really something I'm setting out to do, right?
No, that's fair enough. But yeah, I mean, obviously we watched that documentary. What was the name of it? The noodles thing? What was that called?
Yeah, YouTube's most psychotic breakup.
Yeah, that was a crazy video about people that you've never heard of before, right? Or most people wouldn't have heard of.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I like to do. X8 actually covered Fallen Chungus a little bit with the Twitter stuff, but I try to find people that nobody else is covering. I don't really have an interest in if someone's made like 100 videos on some random lolcow or something like that. I don't want to cover stuff like that. I typically like want to choose something that nobody else has done so far and
Ah,
try to
right,
find things like that to put out.
got it. So we won't be expecting any Chris Chan videos or anything like that from you, no?
No, no,
Okay.
definitely not.
Okay, so let's start, I guess, with the Fallen Chungus stuff. So, for anyone that hasn't seen, what's the Fallen Chungus situation exactly?
Yeah, Fallen Chungus is a massive Twitter account with 70K followers. He makes memes or MS Paint comics on Twitter. His stuff gets hundreds of thousands of likes and tens of thousands of retweets. Really big account, and he basically over the last like few months had this war with this image board called Soy Jack Party,
Mm.
and during all that stuff, they had all kinds of stuff. They were like raiding him, they doxed him, and all kinds of things like that. He he has a hard time like not commenting on things, which is usually where it gets him in trouble, or having like really, not waiting and just commenting on everything. And so once he did that, he went to a mental hospital after he made a note on Twitter saying that he's done, he's going to delete everything, and that he's going to end his life. And then after that, his parents were contacted. They went to a mental hospital. And then when he got back, he said that his parents were trying to keep him off Twitter, basically, and that he was taking risks by just tweeting alone. And then a couple days later, he announced that he was homeless and had a huge spat with his family on Twitter, where his aunt's talking to him, telling him to tell the truth and all this other stuff, which is what really caught my interest. Like when he had the ant going on Twitter, and then he started to attack the ant and dox her and all kinds of stuff with his fans.
Yeah, I'm actually very interested to hear your kind of take on some of the, ins and outs of that. But before we get to that, I mean, I guess that you mentioned the fact they can't resist but respond to everything. I think that's been referred to as like the lolcow gene, right? Um, is that
Yeah, typically.
is that something you kind of commonly see in some of the stuff that you talk about and cover?
Yeah, definitely. And actually, another thing, just off topic, like a really good example of that, and I saw you commented on Twitter about it, is the Lucas Gage situation, right? Where he's constantly like posting.
Okay.
It's that dude, I'm honestly like bummed that his Twitter account got taken down because it was just the most insane lunacy for like the last few days. I mean, every time somebody would send the police to his house or pizzas or anything like that, he had to comment on it on Twitter. He would post videos. I mean, he was
Yeah.
documenting the whole thing. So that's a really good example. You know, he should have just not responded at all to that. But he kept documenting it, taking pictures and videos and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
common.
So your kind of perspective on that sort of thing, be it, you know, this Gage guy saying the Mossad are coming after him by posting his social security number, all the way through to Big Chungus, to FallenChungus, is to basically just ignore it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if FallenChungus, uh, the board when I went through the thread, they really weren't like. There's some one person said docs now, and I mentioned in the video like I don't know if people when they were doing Discord raids if they said like oh we're gonna dox you or any of this stuff, but because he tweeted that out, I mean he's got 70,000 followers on Twitter, you know, and he's telling them here's the image board they're trying to dox me, and it just it brings up the activity, then more people would get interested, autistic people and whoever else to try to like look into that and everything. So yeah, the best thing to do is not comment on it at all.
Yeah, sure. I guess that, to play somewhat devil's advocate is that particularly if you're getting swatted, that's a lot of attention on you and a lot of pressure on you. So like how are you supposed to act perfectly when there's all this pressure on you, you know? How do you contend with that?
Yeah, it would be difficult too, and I know that he was, it's weird too because I don't know if I know that there had to have been people I would assume telling him like, "Hey, you probably should like not keep tweeting about all this crazy shit that's happening to you for Lucas Gage or whatever." And but I think he was making money off of it too, and
Right.
obviously he was getting a lot of attention as well. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
figure that played a big part into why he kept doing it. But it's just a terrible idea.
Yeah, I mean, because for me, I sit here sometimes and I just kind of shake my head and go, well, you shouldn't have done that. That was really fucking retarded. But then I kind of wonder, and I hope I would be able to deal with it calmly, but, would I be able to do that? Like, do you think you'd be able to handle it calmly if you had people doxing you and coming at you and stuff?
Well, I've had to deal with stuff like that before.
Oh, okay,
Everyone
interesting.
online has
Yeah,
people
sure.
that are upset with them at a time or another, and they're going to try to do stuff. And I've had to deal with stuff like that before, where it's like a big deal, and yeah, and just you just no sell it and don't give it any attention whatsoever, and let it move on.
Yeah, of course. So what's your kind of perspective broadly on this familial argument in terms of falling chunga? Like, for example, I had people in my chat saying that the aunt was being totally unreasonable and out of order in responding online. Like, what are your thoughts on that sort of commentary?
I don't think so. I mean, it- for her, I don't know. She probably didn't understand because she's just some random woman, right? Like what the implications would be of her responding. So she might have chose differently if she would have known. But at the same time, he was saying things about their stepdad and the mother, and she felt that she needed to respond and felt like it was like in, bad faith or whatever. And then also, I mean, after that, like them, what they did to her business, and I've got some of the screenshots I sent you. It has some of the stuff in there that I didn't get to include, but it's worth looking at because it really shows you like how it was really malicious some of the stuff that they were doing.
Sure, I'll throw it up quickly. In fact, I'll just talk through it as we go through it. It's only a short 15-second video. So yeah, like you do realize Chungus is related to her. If you can get it, his information will also be found out. Fucking up a career is enough. Jesus. So these people are going really hard at her then, from the looks of it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And if you go to the next one, you'll see Chungus. I mean, he's reading all this, right? And you can see his
Sure.
response if you want to read the next one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the thing about that is people could be out there screaming, and probably not though, right? But the point of harassment is to try to psychologically mess with somebody.
Yeah.
So because that they were going at her business, review bombing her, and calling her on the phone, she was probably really paranoid, which is like the whole point of people harassing, you know?
Sure. Okay. Um. So then he says, "Yeah, that's a lie." He says, "If she's lying, that's genuinely insane." Obviously, that's Mojo is Fallen Chungus, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um.
that's his Discord account.
Yeah. Okay. Um, and then, she said people, multiple, and people in the Discord are contesting that. Jesus. Okay. Aren't DMing me saying she's getting the police involved because of the doxing shit, but I don't buy it. Right. So it's very clear that he's like not really taking this as seriously as he should be, and again, just drawing more attention to it, right?
Yeah, and he, if something, this is such a rare. It's not like everyone has to like be in this situation, but you have to be pretty firm with like the people around. But he said himself that like he doesn't care. He's like, I've been doxxed, so I don't care what you guys do to my aunt. You can call her, but you have to be like really firm with your fans and stuff. If for some reason the situation comes up, to let them know not to do this kind of stuff. And so yeah, and he was on board with it. He said he didn't care. That I think one of his followers said something like, ruining her business will be enough. So yeah.
Jesus. Open my notice and see an account called Blacks Taking L's retweeting a post I was mentioned in. It's a premiere for a video that uses an AI model of my voice to read out old tweets and shit on me. I've accepted people just want me dead. So yeah, is this a short stack goblin?
A short stack goblin. No, this was he got a lot of heat for this because FallenChungus's followers, the majority of them are minors.
Right,
And
okay.
so when he posted that, he got a lot of flack for it, and that's when he says that like a not safe for work artist came to him and told him that like you should really take this down. So that was just something that he got like a ton of flack for, basically.
Got it, okay. And what looks like the final thing here, which is his Roblox account. If you search his name on
Yes.
Twitter, someone screen capped him playing Roblox 14 hours ago. His mom banned him from Twitter, but he's still alive. Right, got it, okay.
Yeah. So the last time if you look on Twitter, like some of the reaction to this, you'll see a lot of users say like suicide bait, stuff like that over and over again, and they're really harsh, like way more cutthroat than I would be.
Yeah.
But it's because of how many times he's come out and said like, I'm going to end it and all this stuff. And one of the last times he did that, he wouldn't talk or anything, so people were worried about him. But then they found his Roblox account and he was online playing. So
Yeah, I mean, that's actually something that we can kind of move on to a couple of points really. But first of all, it's
yeah.
like, you know, he's quite a young lad. I guess you could do the freshly 18 meme, but clearly he's like young and just not cut out for this online world, making lots of mistakes. I guess how do you balance a criticism of someone when they are quite young and acting so fucking stupid?
I have a lot of sympathy for FallenChungus. He's like a young guy. I don't think that, I wouldn't. Someone was asking me, "Oh, you should make a follow up on all this stuff." I don't really have any interest. The thing that really piqued my interest was what he was doing to his aunt. But
Yeah.
besides that, I wouldn't have made a video because he's so young, and I have a lot of sympathy for him. Like it'd be really hard to handle like an 18-year-old with that big of an account and all this stuff. I wouldn't be able to do it. No way. Like being able to handle all this stuff. I mean, it's weird. And I think right now it's a strange time because you have all these people coming up and they have big accounts and stuff, and they're growing up online,
Mhm.
and you make a ton of mistakes when you're his age. So I have a lot of sympathy for that with him for sure.
Yeah, it's like I was looking through the KF thread on Blue Folf, that furry person. Um, and you kind of look at like they're documenting and talking about when they were younger, and it feels a bit weird looking at that. Like there's nothing sexual or anything there, but it's just like, God, this person has been on the internet from so young, and it's like fuck their head up. But now they're in a
Yeah.
fucked up state, and it's like you kind of feel bad, but it's like, well, it's still they're still a lolcow. So what can you do?
Yep. Well,
Um,
and they're doing things online, right? So like,
yeah, yeah,
people are going to comment on what's
yeah.
happening online, and especially when it's an account that big, it's going to get commented on. Like that's not going to stop. So it's a weird situation, I would say for sure, and I would say it's somewhat new too.
Yeah, I think I was saying when I was covering this, it's like young people are going through an era where all of their stuff is online. All of it is going to get scrutinized. And it's kind of a problem that doesn't have a solution yet. I guess that moving on to the other point, though, is there is something of a solution here in terms of the parents. And I was interested to hear your take on Do you think the parents were being unreasonable? Is this beating narrative correct? Or do you think that they were maybe just trying to help him, get out of this problematic habit using the internet?
So that post where his stepdad talks about the beating and stuff like that. That was one of the posts that the aunt replied to, and so I the validity is kind of shaken for me as to whether or not how true that is. But obviously, like I don't personally know, but I think when he started to talk about that stuff was when he decided to, or when she decided to come out and actually say something, and I think she did it for a reason, right? It's so.
I guess one of the problems is obviously we don't know everything behind the scenes, but it could potentially be that the aunt has just heard her sister's side, the mum's side, and maybe is just working off that, right?
That's true. Yeah, she's not at home, so she doesn't know how bad things could actually be. I mean, I agree with that. Yeah.
Mm. So yeah, I guess my perspective is we probably don't know the full extent of it. My instinct though is that the mum was probably trying to help him get off the internet. That seems to be what was going on,
Yes.
and he was obviously resistant to that, being a young lad who wants to use the internet, right?
Yeah, he definitely they talked about his internet addiction and he was making tweets saying that like I could get kicked out right now, if I make this tweet, which is crazy. Like if your parents are saying like I'm going to kick you out if you use Twitter, but then you have to use it to like make a statement or something. That's like a bad place to be in. So
Yeah, maybe everyone under 18 gets taken off the internet. Maybe that's a solution. What do you reckon?
it wouldn't be a bad solution. I mean, I don't know. It's just going to get worse. The more people use it, I mean, it's just going to become more prevalent, I would say.
Okay. I mean, I think in terms of the Chungus stuff, was there anything else you wanted to add before I move on to the other thing I wanted to mention to you?
I mean, I'm somewhat worried about him because of his statements. I can't help it. Like a lot of people online are super cutthroat, but I do have a lot of sympathy for him. So I just hope that he's able to get offline and get things together. Hopefully, find some. I mean, it sounds like if he gets offline, he might be able to find some resolution with his parents. I hope he's able to.
Yeah.
And I wish him all the best. Like honestly, like I don't want anything bad for him or anything like that. Um, I really do like hope things work out and he's able to get offline and get things together.
Excellent. Okay. Right. Let me ask you a direct question. Okay.
Hmm.
Did the Thorpe dad fuck Grace Thorpe? Yes or no?
Yeah, no one's actually asked me that just up front. And in the videos I usually just yes or no. The I can't answer it with a yes or no.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
mean somewhat. But I will say
But
that
why? Why is it so difficult to
from what
answer? That's what I'm interested in now.
because I don't want to be I don't want to just I don't like to just like throw things out there. There is a specific thing where the son when I interviewed him and talked to him, basically his allegation was that since Grace was 15 or 16, that she would perform oral sex on her father. They don't have sex, but that she does perform oral sex.
Okay,
That's what the allegation is. So
sure. So, but your resistance to saying firmly is only because you don't have the evidence for it, and you don't want to make like an unevidenced claim or something, right? Is that what?
yes,
Got it. You're
yeah,
about
yeah.
facts.
And yeah,
Cool.
I'd like to. I don't want to just like this. Despite what Ben Thorpe may say, like I don't really like to just fly off the handle with stuff. I'd like to have and also when I made those, I wanted to present it in a way where people that were watching came to their own conclusion based off of how they acted and everything else, right? And that most people, it seems like, came to that conclusion just by me doing that because it's what they all started saying and stuff. So usually they're going at them or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously seen the Thorpe stuff floating about. I've always been quite resistant of covering it in any length because they just come across as like massive attention whores. Does that not like concern you at
They
all?
are. They are, yeah. And it would be different if I didn't have a lot of knowledge of like their family and interviewed their family and helped when Ben assaulted his son. My server at the time, we like helped him to where he could, he was kicked out. He had no money. The kid was 18 years old. He had nothing and he couldn't go back home. And so everyone kind of helped him and gave him support to get a trade and be able to get away. And so I have a different perspective than other people do, because of that. I would say, like, I know what's going on, like, with them personally, I guess. But Grace and Ben are massive attention whores. That is true, 100%.
Yeah, like I remember one of the first times I spoke about them a bit, they were like in my chat within minutes and seemingly trying
Yes,
to get on. And I was like, no, you're not coming on. Like it just seemed like that's what they wanted. And it was a mistake to give that to
it
them.
is. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they'll anybody that covers them, they'll hop in the chat and they'll try to make a big scene of whatever else, right? That's what they do to try to garner attention. Um, but as far as their like interpersonal relationships, like I said, like it has more to do with me knowing the people involved. But they are massive attention whores, and
Okay.
they'll be in every chat that's covering them for sure.
Okay. The other thing I was interested in, which I've not followed too closely, what are these recent developments in regards to Ben Thorpe getting arrested, and how real and serious is all of that?
So Ben had a no contact order with his daughter after he kicked her,
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
it was supposed to be a year. He took a plea deal after he broke the restraining order, and he took a plea to where it would be a 1 year no contact order, civil no contact order, and then he would have to do domestic violence classes. Now, a couple months after that, they went to the woods or whatever, and they they still are in like an RV, often like different wood areas, and he was in, I want to say it was Maine, and he got arrested, and you saw the stuff. Mr. Mediker covered it where there was like 5 cops, with dogs and scanners and all kinds of stuff. They arrested him. But the crazy thing is like in Rhode Island, where the first thing was, they didn't know that arrest happened, and there was like some weird communication thing. So they were able to get the no contact order dropped. So now they're able to be together. But he has court in Maine for breaking the restraining order in August, which is like bizarre to me that states can't, like, if they break it in another state, I guess it doesn't matter in the original state. I don't know, which is bizarre to me, but that's what happened. So there's no longer a no contact order, but he has a court date in August in Maine for breaking it.
Okay, so if he, well, I guess the first point is if he turns up and faces that charge, what are the possible consequences of that if he's found guilty of something?
Um, well, I actually don't have for the ones in Maine. I believe it's breaking the no contact order and possibly resisting arrest since he stayed in the RV, but I'm not positive on that one. As far as the consequences, honestly, like throughout all this stuff, you really see like how much, like, people aren't going to throw the book or anything like that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll be able to take a plea or something. He's not going to go to prison or anything. He, if he would have done it in Rhode Island, if that thing would have happened in Rhode Island and not Maine, then he probably would have been facing some time. But because there was the disconnect of him being in a different state, it had a totally different outcome. And so he'll probably get like a slap on the wrist for that.
That's interesting. And what happens if he doesn't show up for this court date?
If he doesn't show up, I, that I he probably will, but if he doesn't show up, I'm I'm not actually sure. I mean, I guess he would have a warrant, right? I think that's how that works. He
But
would have
what?
a warrant out for his
Okay,
arrest if he doesn't show up for court.
but that would because it's not a federal thing. It would only apply in the state, right? So he wouldn't be able to go back to the state
Yeah.
essentially, right? Okay, okay, interesting. Um, and then the other thing I was interested in is obviously I've seen clips of Grace Thorpe's reaction to some of this. Like how much of that is real and how much of that is played up for content's sake?
Um
Do you think?
okay, so one clip I can give you in particular, that when she drew like slut and I love dick like on her with a magic marker, her father actually got out of jail that day, and he was the one actually telling her to do that, right? And so she did that, and she tried to make it seem like, it was like this thing, but it was just a bit that Ben had his daughter do. So stuff like that is played up. Um, and they will play things up sometimes. The her reaction after he kicked her though, that was real. I'm for sure. But some of the stuff is played up. They try to he'll text her or something, right, and be like, say this or say that. Anytime Grace Thorpe is on a show, her father is constantly texting her to be like, say this, say that. Like she doesn't really have a lot of opinions of her own. They're just the opinions of her father. So she's just like repeating them a lot of the time or whatever he's telling her to say.
What? So is she just like mentally fucked, twisted around his finger or something? Why is she like that?
Yes. Yeah, very much so. She's like that because, they've been in this relationship or whatever since she was 15, and it's been them against like the rest of the family since then. And so, he can get her to do, anything, uh totally anything. And that's why people that work with them or they collaborate, they always end up fucking them over or whatever, right? That's like a common theme with them. Like they'll use somebody and then just try to like destroy them or like embarrass them and all this stuff. And that's all Ben. And she'll just do whatever he says. One of the instances was in Washington when oh, am I here?
Yep, yep.
Yeah. One of the instances was in Washington when she went to go meet a guy, and she was there for like 3 days, and he talked about this on the Kill stream, I think, where she had him leave a note and like run out into the woods and then start to take off articles of clothing for him while they were like FaceTiming as a humiliation thing because she was there with him, and then had her run away from him and then make all kinds of claims afterwards of things that he did. So
Oh, yeah. She did it with Darius as well,
yeah,
right?
she did it with Darius as well. Yeah, Ben was the one. So and they this is it's so sick and twisted, man. They'll use people to get jealous of each other. Like Ben will talk to women weird or whatever and try to like riz them up, but it's all to like make them jealous of the other person. So anytime that Ben sends Grace out to be with these guys, Ben will inevitably get jealous and then he'll think of a way to try to like totally screw them over. And with Darius, it was the same thing, right? Like he was telling Grace, like, burn his clothes, leave him, da 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 da, all this stuff. And yeah, that's how it is with them.
Oh my god, it sounds so fucking grotesque. I mean,
It's awful. It's so dark. It's like the most insane thing I've come across online. Uh, I for me ever. I think it's just so vile and dark. But yeah.
yeah, that's always been my perception. There are attention whores and there's some stuff that's played up. But I guess what I'm learning more here is there's a seedy underbelly of genuineness, which is just fucked up, weird abuse type relationship between the two of them. Would you call it abuse?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's
Yeah.
psychological and physical abuse. Since Ben, people got to remember too, the videos that I made, the two documentaries on them, none of that stuff was on YouTube, right? So there was no playing up or any of this stuff. Like all that stuff was just in like Discord calls before they got a little bit bigger. And so the family relations and stuff like that have always been like the weirdness. And because I know the son and their mother, I know, what's true and what's not and stuff like that based off of, what
Cool.
they've talked about over the last year.
Speaking of the Discord calls, can you just tell us all a little bit about Whoremaxxer?
Whoremaxxer. Oh man. Whoremaxxer is a guy that he's a black pillar guy that constantly talks about whores and talks about, Whoremaxxing. He's a wacky character. He used to be a vegan guy. Whoremaxxer used to be like 120 pounds. He was super thin, a vegan guy. But he's been on YouTube for like since its inception, since like the mid 2000s or early. He's been online for like decades. And he found a guy that was like a black pillar Whoremaxxer guy, and he just like copied his style and became him. Started getting on anabolic steroids, test and all this stuff, and now he's the way he is now. But if you look at older clips of Whoremaxxer, he looks nothing like he looks now. But he's a wild guy for sure. My buddy did a really good documentary on him.
Yeah, because I mean, the clips I've seen are of like Whoremaxxer talking to Grace Thorp, and there's like a weird pimp-esque type relationship happening there, where she's performing on stream for him and stuff. Right? Is that right? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Well, he's very like every time that they've ever interacted, it's always been about Grace Thorpe starting an OnlyFans. And before that, it was, oh, when are you gonna come out, Grace? Ben would use Grace because he has this weird like obsession with Whoremaxxer. So he would use his daughter to try to like get close with him and set up this thing where he's like talking about flying her down and everything. But yeah, that was the idea. And Ben's also had Grace do like you'd say like minor sex work or whatever, where like the people are texting her and saying like she'll talk dirty to them and all this stuff and get money that way. So it's like kind of like a evolving thing. Like if I had to guess, like I would say it just is gonna get worse over time, but we'll have to see.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, that was the main stuff I was interested to talk about with the Thorps. Um, yeah, I mean, we've been talking for coming up on an hour, I think, so we can start to wrap things up. I would like to throw it over to the chat to see if they've got any questions, if that's okay.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, for sure.
so chat, go ahead, ask your questions, go crazy. Whilst we're waiting for questions to come in, I'll throw something else at you. Any takes on the Rekieta situation at all?
Oh, the Rekieta thing? Yeah, for sure. Rekieta, I mean, this is the weird thing about Rekieta, right? Rekieta is a trust fund guy. His parents made money in oil, if I recall. He's a multi millionaire. There's really no reason with the predicament that he is in that he really, in my opinion, needs to be on these streams talking. Like, there's no way with the time that he's facing and the legal ramifications of what he's in, I don't see any reason why he should be online or commenting on any of this at all. It's crazy. He doesn't need the money. It's like literally like he's risking his, life as far as like being held in legal ramifications just for public, for the court of public opinion, which doesn't matter. So it's insane to me that he's commenting or doing any of this stuff at all. He should go offline and fix the court stuff, fix his drug problem, and get his kids back, and then come back online. It's just insane to me that he's willing to do this because he doesn't need the money. There's no reason to do it other than, court of public opinion.
Yeah, I've got a few clips I might watch later of him, I think, speaking to Camelot. And it looked like he was commenting on some of the particulars of the legal case, which, yeah, like you say, seems like a crazy thing to do. So,
It's
yeah.
insane.
Um, thoughts on that? Well, I mean, you excited about the body cam footage? You're gonna be watching that?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be a disaster. I think it's going to be a total unmitigated disaster, man. Oh my God. I've been waiting on it. The holdup with that is so weird. They have like he's in a small county, right? And so they're charging like, I've gotten body cam footage before. It's not expensive. It's like barely anything typically for body cam footage, but they're like charging, I think it was like $300 an hour, and it's like 6 grand or something
Jesus.
just for the body cam footage. And it's like kind of crooked. It's weird to me that they can even get away with that. But it seems like they're taking advantage of the situation, I guess. And there's also some weird stuff with his the CPS papers leaked, right?
Hmm.
Nobody has you cannot get access where it talked about how his 9-year-old failed a cocaine test or whatever.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
tested positive for cocaine, which is it's horrendous. It's so bad. But so that happened. But those papers don't get out there unless you have somebody inside that's like leaking those. We don't have access to that. You can't get access to somebody's, you know,
Um,
CPS papers.
I've got no idea one way or another. This is all very complicated, but I read somewhere that if you can go into a terminal at the courthouse or some public office, and I think if you're at a terminal, you can access it or something. I don't know how true that is, but I mean, it's either that or I mean, that takes a level of someone being there in person. But yeah, it could well be that someone's leaking from the inside, I guess. So,
I think so. I think so for sure. I would have to check, but the public, I have a hard time uh believing that just anybody
okay.
in the public could access papers like that. Usually those are like really confidential.
Sure. I mean, I read it somewhere. It's literally like could be bullshit, but yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, so yeah. You think there's a possibility though there could be someone from within the system that is leaking this stuff out?
Yeah, it's how insane. It's a small town. This town is like tiny, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so, and the first judge that he had, actually, the one that signed the search warrant, was one that he days before, or maybe like a week before, he did a whole live stream about saying the most fucked up shit about this judge in his own county, saying that she was a dumb bitch and like, all this crazy, crazy shit. And then she signs the search warrant. So all that
Oh,
stuff is interesting.
you wait. You
Yeah, yeah,
wait a
she was the
second.
one that signed the search.
Hang on a minute. Are you saying that this conspiracy against him by the state? Are you saying there's some weight to that though?
No, 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 no. Like he's
Okay.
guilty. He had the cocaine. The fuck no. I'm not I'm not saying that. He had the cocaine. He's on blow. Obviously, he's got a drinking problem. He's got a drug problem. I'm just saying that it for him, it was just retard or stupid for him to say all those things about the judge. I mean, it's quite ironic that that judge was then the one to sign the search warrant and stuff. And so I think that, with the papers leaking too, I would say that, there's people that don't like him. I'm just speculating,
Sure.
but since those papers leaked, I would have to say that there's definitely people that don't like him. But he is guilty as sin. He did all that. So I'm not saying
Okay.
that at all.
Interesting. Okay. I've got a couple of questions coming through now. So, first of all, who is your favorite lolcow?
This will be like one of the most this is like esoteric.
That's
And it's
fine.
not somebody I have all the footage and I'll make a video of it someday, but there was a guy named John Bolden, and he was this guy in Washington that one of the things that he did, when the Black Lives Matter protests were going crazy, right? He would get online and just like do crazy insane stuff, and it led to him going down to downtown Seattle and screaming at the police that they were, racist and bigots, and then he would call them like racial expletives and all this stuff if they were cops. Like one of the cops was black, and he brought his machete with him, and he brought like a shield and all this stuff, and he actually threw a machete at the police. This was
Damn.
like when it escalated or whatever. Yeah, so he flung a machete, and then all these police like tackled him, and the whole entire time he's screaming at him. It's like, I served this country. You're you're nothing. You're racist and all this stuff. Like, I mean, very confrontational. But that guy is not a lot of people know about him, but he's definitely my favorite.
Okay. This question means nothing to me. I'm guessing it's going to mean something to you. Please ask ShaMoo on a scale of 1 to 10 how much he misses Davis art streams.
10. I miss, Davis actually, for the guy that asked that, he actually sent me a DM the other day. But Davis was a guy that would have a lot of us on in like our little sphere of like lolcows and stuff like that back in the day. He's an artist. He's a really, really good artist. But he would have these long streams, and he's great. Davis is an awesome guy.
Okay. Do you have any new projects or lolcows to keep an eye on?
I have a massive, massive project going on right now. It's one I've been working on and off for like the past maybe 6 to 8 months. And I've just been putting out these other things like intermittently while I've been working on it. But I don't want to say who it's about yet, but it's a big, big video. So be sure to watch out for that.
Excellent. Okay. How often do you discover a new topic, and is there a process you use to separate the wheat from the chaff?
Yeah, as far as new topics and finding things, it really helps to have a network of people, of friends or anything like that, or people that want to help ride or whatever, that throw around ideas. I think it's just from, years of being online, you develop these networks of people that are in all these different spheres. And so if you miss something, they can give you a heads up or say, check this out. That's a big thing. That's what happened with FallenChungus too. Somebody, told me about it and before it blew up and all this stuff. And then I, looked into it and found that they were doxing his aunt and like review bombing her work, and then bam, that's a video. So
Yeah, and I guess the wheat from the chaff thing, I guess, is how do you figure out what's worth looking at, what's worth including, and like what you discard? I guess.
um I would say that if baseless accusation, I'm so like desensitized to like bullshit baseless accusations of someone's
Okay.
of people just fighting and saying like this person's this or that, like that's weak stuff. It could be good drama that gets views or whatever, but um it needs to have like some weight to it. It needs to have some validity, I would say.
Sure. So you tend to avoid covering the tit for tat arguments and more what can be proven and what can be evidenced from the sounds of it. Yeah. Um,
Yes, for sure.
okay. I feel like we've touched on this already. But did Whoremaxxing smash? Did it smell? Darius was complaining about it.
Did Whoremaxxer smash?
I'm guessing Grace Thorpe
What is
is what he's referring to.
No, Grace smells because she'll say this all the time. She only showers once or twice every couple weeks. They don't shower. In fact, one of the nicknames that one of my buddies has for Ben is the vinegar nonce, because he doesn't shower and he smells so bad.
The vinegar nonce. That's wild,
The
dude.
vinegar nonce. Yeah.
Okay. There are a few silly questions which I'll chuck in there. I'm got to ask you, Gok or Gauls?
Uh, I don't know I don't know the context to this, but
Okay, before you answer,
Gorals.
because I don't want you to step in
Oh
something that
shit!
you don't want to. Okay. This is a
I might have just
reference
fucked
to
up.
trans woman genitalia. Okay.
Okay, but which one's which? I don't.
Gok
Damn! I
Gok
just fucked up, didn't I?
Gok Gok
Oh no.
refers to the trans shaft, and Gauls is the trans balls. You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
Uh,
Okay, it's a stupid question, bro.
yeah, I'm not gonna. I'd rather not answer. I'm already fucked though. It's already over, dude. Like, oh shit,
Listen, I know appearances are
fucking
everything,
lingo.
right? And you don't want to be seen to be gobbling on the gok, so to speak. But moving moving swiftly on. Okay, what else have we got here? Okay, here we go. This is a good one. Well, this actually, we're maybe arriving at the same issue as the last question. Ask him for a top 5 Nubian princess tier list. Nubian princess,
Oh
obviously
my
being black
god.
woman.
Um, a tier list. Dude, I
Okay,
I can't even name. I don't know.
that's
I don't.
fine. This is in relation to a guy who got caught out, exposed for like sexting someone, and it was a bit stupid. But he made this video of top 5 black women and was a little bit spicy in how he spoke about them. Let's put it that way. Um,
Sounds epic.
okay. Ask him about the Baldo and if its reference appears in any legal documents. Any comment on that?
Um, the ball. I don't know if it appears in any legal documents, but I will say that was like the signs of the end for Rekieta. When he
Yeah.
went from like a family Christian streamer, right? That he's like, oh, family's the best, and church and all this stuff, and then he's doing videos on locals where he's talking about the baldo, a contraption where you put it over your balls, and I don't even know exactly what they do. I have a feeling I know what they do, but it's it's a little different, right? So that was kind of the beginning of the end, I would say, for Rekieta and whatever arc he's on right now.
Okay. This question touches on something I was interested in anyway, but it says, ask him if he is still an ironic gunt guard. So you know, and following on from that, you know, I guess just a reflection on your time as part of the, what is it, the sector, I guess you would call it.
Sector?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on
Okay.
that?
So people haven't asked me that, but I've got an answer for it. So the sector, before I was making videos and stuff, I used to love watching Medicare and the Kill Stream and all this different stuff, right? I loved watching it for the drama and everything else. And so that was before I was making videos and stuff. And as far like there's already like a ton of hate for Ethan Ralph online. You can go anywhere and see people hate on him or whatever. But I do think that he offers entertainment, and I think he's a good broadcaster. Um, and there's always crazy shit happening with Ralph, and so I find it really entertaining. And yeah.
What do you think is the most farmable like YouTube community?
The most farmable YouTube community. It's not really stuff that I would be interested in, but I would say that, Destiny and stuff like that, where people are live streaming every day, there's a lot of stuff you can farm from that. People make clips of it. That's not really like what I do, but as far as what I do, I don't even know. There's so many different communities. That's the thing, is like so many different things I cover are in totally different communities, totally different spheres. So it's hard to say. I wouldn't say there's any one in particular that I can think of.
Okay. Daddy Chumbucket, this is a bit of a crazy question. Would you rather survive a shark attack but lose all your limbs, or endure an extreme situation involving every man in your immediate family?
Can you repeat that?
Would you rather survive a shark attack but lose all your limbs, or endure an extreme situation involving every man in your immediate family? Okay,
I'm taking the shark attack just because I think I'm getting a little. I don't know. I don't know what
I'm
that
guessing
means.
like
I'll take shark
I don't think
attack
that means
though.
anything weird. I think it's like you got trapped on an island, and the only people that are there to help you, you know, are your immediate members of the family on the male side.
Well, I mean, if you're trapped on an island and you're in dire straits, I mean, you'd probably want to be around family, right? Be able to help you through or whatever. So.
Okay. I mean, to be honest with you, okay, we're getting some of these questions are just stupid now, so I feel like we've kind of exhausted that. Listen, guys, I'll give a final shot for any serious questions, but other than that, yeah. So, because I heard you used to go, just to go back to the Ethan Ralph stuff a bit, you used to go on the kill stream quite a lot. Is that right?
Oh no, I've been on the kill stream several times. Yeah. I used to watch it a lot though. Like when I was getting into internet stuff before I had a channel, I used to love watching like all the stuff, like Ethan Ralph, Mr. Medicare, all the people in that sphere. And that's why my profile picture is Coach Redpill. It's kind of like a wink to that like sphere or whatever. Just because I have like a lot of like fond memories of, of it, I guess you could say.
Dude, that's such a good point. I totally forgot about that. Coach
Yeah.
Redpill, take on Coach Redpill. Like, let's go. What do you reckon to all that then?
Coach Redpill, the crazy thing about it is I made the Coach PFP before, I think before like the Ukraine stuff. Maybe he was there and in a war zone, but before it got increasingly insane. JF Garapi had a really interesting point on Coach. He said that Coach told him that he DM'd him and said that he had some kind of cancer or heart disease, something to where he had a timetable on his life, right? To where he wasn't going to live for a lot more time or whatever. And so JF, said that like he thought that Coach did all this stuff in Ukraine and all this political, he could have left at any time. He just kept staying in Ukraine as this war was going on. He kept doing live streams. And at the time, even before I heard JF say that, I was like, this guy has to have something, like he wants to be a martyr because he's not going to like make it out of this situation. And so I think it makes a lot of sense why he did that. I think that if he didn't have much time left and he wanted to become some political martyr, then he's done it. I mean, you've got Putin talking about how they tortured a a U.S. journalist and all this stuff. You know, the biggest levels and the smallest levels talked about it and are aware of it. So it's pretty wild. He's a wild guy, man. Like he's so quirky. He, you know, he had like he would do like scams and stuff. Like that's the other thing about him is that I find like hilarious. Like he had this thing called Wilshire Boulevard, which he did like a GoFundMe for, and it's this book. In fact, Rekieta has a copy of the book, but it's never been put out publicly. He sent it to Rekieta, Godwinson, and one other guy, the quartering, and they read the book and they said it was so bad, and they gave him critical, you know, points on it that he refused to ever put it out publicly. So hopefully one day they'll put out Wilshire Boulevard, but
um,
it's
listen,
so quirky, man.
as you've mentioned him, I've got to ask you this: where is Mama JF?
Dude, I don't know. This is why I love this sector, by the way. Like all these people, there's like an edit I made where it's like Rekieta and he's all Alyssa Clips uploaded it actually. It's like a little edit, 2-minute edit I made. And it's all the crazy shit with Rekieta, right? And then it shows the last picture and it's Ethan Ralph, Rekieta, Andy Worski, and there's one more. Oh, Coach Redpill. All 4 of those guys in one picture, right? Yeah. And it's like so much crazy shit. It's honestly, to me, it's been going on for so long, but it's like the most insane story online that's been going on for like the past, like, you know, 6 or 7 years. I don't know how long it's been, but so many crazy things have happened to these people. But as far as Mama JF, I don't know. That whole situation is so fucking weird, dude. Like, because she's obviously like a mentally disabled person, right? And JF, you know, according to him, he just like took her out and like let her go, you know, let nature have her or whatever. And I think the argument with all that comes down to how responsible is he for letting a mentally disabled person out into the wilderness, right? If they find her, you know, maybe she's out there somewhere, but it's been a long time, man. So I think that's the argument. People come up with all these like crazy memes and like conspiracies and stuff, which, you know, who knows? Maybe one day they'll pan out. We'll see. But I think the main argument with that is like, how responsible is he for letting her go, being that she's like mentally disabled?
Yeah, I think it was obviously very funny to have a bit of a joke about the idea that he, you know, has got her buried under the floorboards or something like that.
It's hilarious, yeah.
But
it's so
I think
funny.
Particularly the police involvement and the police's own comments on it, you know, they did seem to match up with this story that he dropped her over some gas station somewhere and that was that. So I find it hard to believe that he's killed her, but certainly perhaps some culpability for not wanting to, you know, help her out more with a mental disability, sure. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I think we can sort of wrap things up there. Anything
Okay.
You mentioned the project that you've got coming up on your channel. When can we expect that? Any you know, release date on that or anything?
I'm trying to get it done within the month. I don't like to go longer than a month to have a new topic out, and I've been working on it for a long time. So it's like I just have to polish it up, but I'd like it to be out sometime in the next 30 days.
Excellent. Okay. Well, listen, thanks for coming on. I'll link your video in chat, but you just want to tell everyone about your channel one more time before you go?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube. You can find me at ShaMoo_, and I'm on Twitter as well. You can find my Twitter on my YouTube page. And yeah, man, thanks for talking. It was great.
Pleasure. Great chat. Thanks very much. Catch you again soon.
Yep. See ya.
Cheers. Bye-bye. That was good. Good combo, hey? Yeah, he does great videos. We watched that new, what was it, the noodles thing. That was a fucking insane, unexpected pleasure